One of the undervalued names of God is El Shaddai. El Shaddai comes from the Sephirot of Yesod. Yesod means, the foundation, but it also means secret, Sod. So in a certain sense, El Shaddai is the secret name of God. And where does El Shaddai manifest himself? And what does Yesod manifest itself in and as? But as sexuality. And especially in these times that we live in today, these are sexual times. The relationships, the power relationships, sexual relationships between men and women is taken on a new turn. And so it's very important to understand El Shaddai. El Shaddai was how Avram changed into Avraham. It has to do with the bris, with the circumcision. Obviously it does, because it's from Yesod. But in a certain sense, this Yesod is the foundation of the entire Jewish opus. It's just not something to be passed over. It's like you read a novel. Oh, Avram, changed into Avraham. Well, where did he change? How did he change? And that's the real secret here, the Yesod, the Sod in Judaism. Because the bris, the circumcision, is everything in Judaism. It affects every 8-day-old boy. You know what it's like to have a circumcision when you're 8 days old? When you have it on your penis? You think it's traumatic, and that's just the point of it. It's supposed to be traumatic to kind of like lock you, freeze you, not make you an animal. It's supposed to inhibit you in a certain way. Inhibit you to act appropriately as a human being. But this locked-in attitude in the whole center area there, in the Yesod area, has its effect on you in the rest of your life. But this is Yesod, and it has to do with El Shaddai. El Shaddai, in its normative gematria, is El is 31 and Shaddai is 314. It comes out to be 345, which is Moses, Moshe. So in a certain sense, Moses getting the Torah has some relationship to El Shaddai, because Moses is the same gematria as El Shaddai. Another thing that's even more fundamental is that El Shaddai, fully spelt out, comes out to be 999. If you do the Aleph and the Lamed and the Shin, fully spelled out. Shin is Shin, Yud, Nun, Dalet, fully spelled out. The totality is 999. And this 999 were the energies that was removed with the golden calf. And all that was left was one unit, which also appears in the Bible, in the Vayikra, as the small aleph. And that's all the godliness we had left after the golden calf. Again, this relationship to El Shaddai. And if you add one as a kolel, or an all, a kol, to the 999, you get 1,000, which is Aleph itself. So this is just some of the underpinning. But for me, the other part of it is that the imprint on the circumcision is El Shaddai. And not only that, the other aspects of Shaddai come out in the tefillin, where we have the shin, the dalet in the back, shin in the head tefillin, dalet in the back, and a yud on the arm. That's Shaddai. And it also manifests in the mezuzah as the name that comes out. Now, very often we don't put the full name out, and it's not written in the scroll out. It's the only word written in the back of the parchment of the mezuzah, Shaddai. But very often in normative mezuzahs, we put a shin in the outside, which corresponds to Shaddai. And again, it's part of the sod, the yesod of El Shaddai. It's really yesod. The entire Jewish opus is about yesod. And yesod is the sexuality. If you can control your sexuality, you can control anything. Those are the desires. You know, they say that the tongue, if you control your tongue, it's even higher. Well, there's two tongues. There's the lower tongue of the male member and the higher tongue of the mouth. Remember that there are 22 letters of the alphabet, 10 toes and a penis. Those are the lower 11. And the upper 11 are 10 fingers and a tongue. So those are the 22 letters of the alphabet. And the whole secret is to control the tongue. It's harder to control the tongue than it is the bris, the penis. And that's why they go all this stuff about Lashon Hara and all this, the whole idea of controlling. And then also kashrut, the controlling of what the mouth takes, has the same relationship. And the whole idea of nida and all this has a relationship for the sexuality. The whole idea is everything's from Yesod, especially in our times here. In this kind of like permissive world. Where women, you know, want to be equal to men and they want to wear anything they want. That's fine. I agree. That's the reason we need even more Jewish fortitude and rectitude at this time. El Shaddai is the name from Yesod. It is the secret name of God. El Shaddai, fully spelt out, 999, plus 5 letters, El, 2, Shaddai, 5, plus 1 for all, that's 6. If you add that to 999, you get 1005. And the phrase, and his songs were 1005. 1005 has to do with the Aleph and the Hey. And that brings in Shir HaSharim, because every phrase in Every verse in Shir HaShirim has to do with the Aleph and the Hey. And the Aleph is the masculine and the Hey is the feminine. And this comes through in El Shaddai better than any of the other names. And I don't expect you to feel this. This is just when you're ready, you will feel it. That for all Kali Yuga that we're living in, dark ages, times before the Mashiach, El Shaddai is the premier name. I know we're talking about Yud Hey Vav Hey, and we're talking about in the days of Mashiach, we're going to have Yud Hey, and we're talking about Elohim and the creation of the world and what goes by, but the real secret, the real manifestation in our times is get in touch with El Shaddai. Comes through in the mitzvahs, comes through in the body, you see. Comes through in your thoughts from sexuality. And for me, the real secret of Judaism is celibacy in the Yesod. Celibacy does not mean, by the way, that you can't have Priya Varivya, can't have be fruitful and multiply. It means that when you do have sex, it's for progeny. You're still celibate. When you have any sexuality for progeny, it's not the same type of sexuality. See? It's not being a stud. It's the idea of usage in the appropriate way. It's the same thing with kasherut. When you eat kosher, it's permitted. When you eat non-kosher, then you don't eat the food. It's the same thing with everything. And when one only has intercourse and using the seed for progeny, it doesn't have the same effect on where that seed comes from in the mokim. It doesn't have a deleterious effect, you see. And that's the real secret. So El Shaddai is the name of, in my opinion, Judaism for today. The actual today. Because I may wake up tomorrow and be a different guy. Sleep is 1/60th of death. And when I go to sleep, another soul could and does come back to me. I leave my soul. My soul goes out of the body and goes to Soulville. It gets interchanged if there's a thing called teshuvah, means return. And the next day it's teshuvah, the return of the hay. That hay contains an aleph, because how do you spell the letter hay? It's hey aleph, just like you do in the first word of the Aramaic in Pesach. Ha lakma. Ha hey aleph. That's everything with the aleph and the hey. And so there's a union here to me, this union of Aleph and Hey specifically is in Yesod. It's a union of the male and the female in Yesod. It's the middle between Tiferet and Malkus. It's the 6th day of the week. Yom Ha-Shishi. Why would it be Ha? That's 5 if that 5 didn't contain a Hey. To make it Ha-6. Because the real secret is the 6, and that's Yesod. It's the 6th Sephirot of the Zir Anpin. And as we know from psychoanalysis, 6 means sex. And we have sex the night after the 6th day. These are great secrets from El Shaddai. Don't be busy being fooled by the normative. There's always a secret you haven't found out about yet.